What's up, y'all? LTJ Reads is here. This is Throwing Light, and if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. This is episode 164, and I've got one of my bestest, most loyalist friends ever on here, Ted A. Richard. Before we get ready to start, remember, y'all, all the Throwing Light interviews, the Throwing Light panels, all the new creative work that I'm going to be doing. We're going to be launching the Throwing Light television show here locally in Austin pretty soon. And we're going to be working on some documentaries and some other creative projects. So please, please, please go over to my YouTube channel, which is the same as my Instagram at LTGA is here to keep up with that. With that all being said, let's kick it over to our guest, Ted. How are you, Ted?
I'm doing great, Lewis. How about you?
Good. I'm making it. I'm not complaining.
Right.
Just living life and adjusting and trying to stay in a positive mind space with everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying? But let's talk about you. It's been a year since you were on here last.
Just
Um,
a little bit.
has
I
it been?
wanted to ask you something.
Do what?
How was National Mr. Leather?
Oh,
You didn't get to
it
ask me
was
about
it was a lot. I got to present a panel there. It was great. We had a wonderful time. One of my Texas brothers got to I think he got sixth place. My friend Austin. That was exciting.
one.
Texas really showed up. It was a great time. It's a great networking event. I have so much leather family from around the world now. Things are a lot different since 2013, 2014 for me, but in a
Right.
much positive and wonderful, better headspace. Um, I've definitely taken the things that I learned from you when we worked together in the community, and I've really just understood that, a lot of what was going on, as you remember, you told me part of my journey will be the struggle, and
Right.
everybody's seeing that struggle, and I struggled.
Yeah. We both
Um,
did. We both did.
Yes, but I made it through the fire. I'm here today. I'm healthy. I'm able to be eloquent and lead people with a much more peace inside of me that I didn't have, over a decade ago. But I love you to death. I would not be here. I wouldn't have gotten this far without you. And
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I can't say that enough. I tell everybody about
Yeah.
you. You were there for me in one of my darkest moments and allowed me to excel. And I'm just always grateful for you. And I'm
Well,
always
thank you.
here
I
for you.
appreciate that.
So, and me and you know firsthand what it's like to work in these conservative gay communities and how
Right.
difficult it can be to
Right.
progress the community. And we struggle with that. But here we are, Ted, we're over a decade later. You're in
Right.
Six Points. What are things looking like over there? How's the community been in terms of like what you see, what you hear? Do you feel things have changed for the better since you were president of Acadiana Pride?
I actually don't. I actually don't. There is a group called Acadiana Queer Collective, and they do a lot of work in the community, and they are doing a fantastic job. I don't want to take anything away from what they're doing, but the community as a whole, I find, is not cohesive.
Mm.
We still have the differences between the older generation and the younger generation, between the trans community and the gay community, and the bi community, while I'm talking about that.
Do you say the Black community?
The
Oh,
bisexual community.
okay.
And we'll also end between the white community and the black community.
There's always been that issue.
There's always been
Um,
that issue. And
mhm.
it's like, I find that the gay community as a whole is not as cohesive, even as it was when we did the Pride Festival back in 2014 and 15.
I do want to say though, we had a lot of ally support during that.
We had a lot
I'm
of
not
allies.
trying to be pessimistic, but the attendance that we experienced, there were a lot of people that were not there that were of the LGBT
Correct. Correct.
back then,
Yeah.
LGBT.
Right.
Then
Right. I
we
remember
added the
that.
Q. Then we added the
You
Q.
added the Q, then the AI.
So I don't think people understand how tricky and complex it gets, especially when you have race and things involved. Because I experienced a lot of racism from white gay men while I lived there, and I find a lot of them latch on to conservatism for
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
reasons, if that makes sense.
No, it makes
Um,
sense.
And people don't understand, you know, me and Ted and I worked together. We were the first president and vice president. Ted was president of the first Pride Festival. Up until that point they had not executed one. Ted and I put on a 3-day music festival, and if we go back and replay history a little bit, the reasoning why we had to do it that way is because there was fear, and which is so ironic. Is the word ironic or yeah, that
It's ironic.
I was asked to run for president to prevent the leather float from happening, and here I am now a leather man.
Right, right,
I
right.
think that is hilarious. Isn't that not hilarious?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but we had to do a
Full
family-friendly
circle.
festival. We could not do, people were scared of what they saw in New York City coming into Lafayette,
Well, they
basically.
were scared of the rainbow. I
Yep,
mean, my
no, scared of and raising the rainbow flag. They did
right,
not even want to raise the rainbow flag. And that's
right.
from the queer community there at the time.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. It's
Um,
very, very conservative, and I mean, you just have to look at how we vote.
right.
That's all you have to look at is who we vote for our representatives in Congress, both locally and nationally.
And most definitely conservative gays are voting for conservative candidates. They're
Yes,
voting against their own personal interests. It's a
exactly.
cultural thing.
Against their own
Um,
personal interest, and I've never understood that.
no, I don't understand it either. I think it's just this willful ignorance to want to fit in, and I guess people just don't understand that people that are homophobic will never see you as an equal. So why
Right,
would you even want to align yourselves with them anyway? Like they're going to get what they want and leave you with what's left over.
exactly.
You will never be a priority. And I just think that's a shame that people don't understand how people target people just because of their sexual preferences.
Correct.
Um, I had this follower I saw. I don't know if this person's watching, but I had recently seen someone call like the gay Republican following me, and I went to go
Yeah,
look over to see what the page was. And it was just all this very vapid, superficial stuff saying that like Republicans were more attractive than Democrats and things like that. Just really,
really. Well, for a
is it
long time,
appropriate to say
a long
faggotry?
time in Republic.
Is that okay to say that word, faggotry? Like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, self. Like not looking at the substance of what's going on.
Well, they're being destructive if you really want to put it down to brass tacks.
Yeah, it's destructive. But I saw a younger person comment. I had to because I'm still attached to some Lafayette, and I see some
Right,
posts.
right.
But the kid that posted recently that was upset, saying that he felt that the community was a joke because of the QIA.
Really,
And he wanted to disassociate from that and started telling people on his page that QIAs don't belong in the community, which I and A are recognized identities. Intersex and asexuality are
right.
things that people
Yes,
actually are. You can't
yeah.
deny that. People get, and here we go, it's the Q. It's always the Q,
You're
right?
right.
So, sometimes I think the dislike for the letter Q is just its appearance sometimes. People don't use Q very often. And so
Yeah,
it's already a weird letter to them. But, Q is supposed to represent queer and questioning.
correct,
And a lot of people don't understand that every identity is under the umbrella term of queer.
correct.
So it's unfortunate when you see these conservative and sometimes young ones that have no connection to history. They don't understand that people die for reasons of things. I get the whole like, okay, you have all these letters, and I don't see them. I always talked about this. I said, why are these letters not holding hands? Why are you guys not embracing each other as a family? Um, but and we've talked this multiple
I
times.
think,
We had to fight to get the letter Q added back in 2013 because
I
it
do
was
think the letter Q is redundant. I think people feel that way that the letter Q is redundant to cover. It covers everything.
right.
It covers the LGBTIA. It covers everything, and so they feel that you don't need to put the letter Q. But I disagree with that. I think that Q is a lot more than just an umbrella term for everything for all the other letters.
I feel like Q is that not, like not bi, not lesbian, not there is so much gender expression that happens that's beyond what we think. And see, most queer people, especially part of the community, don't understand why the letter L is first, lesbians.
Correct, correct,
Lesbians are first because they helped during the AIDS crisis.
correct, correct.
Like
Yeah,
every gay man
thankful.
should be embracing lesbians, but that's not the case. It's
That's not the
always
case.
the letter G. The letter G thinks that it's all about the letter G. And
Right.
that's why they say these hurtful and disrespectful things because they
Yeah,
don't care about the diversity of anybody else as long as they're getting what they want. And it's easy to pass as a gay white man, right, Ted?
right, right. Yeah,
And they want to pass. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a desire to fit in. It's not to stand out, to not be proud of who you are, to be proud of the parts that your enemy was proud of. Only those parts. So it's no different than going back as me being, a black person as passing as a white person. It's easier to pass your sexuality than your race. I mean, let's just be level with that. It's the darker your skin is, it's more challenging to be in this
yeah,
country.
yeah. And when
So,
we're talking about passing, let's talk about the trans community. It's a lot easier for someone who could pass as the other gender
right.
to
Mhm.
get through life as someone that doesn't quote unquote pass.
Right. Right. And there are lots of trans
And
people
we
in
do that to
Acadiana.
ourselves. We do that within the gay community. We do that.
Well,
Why?
trans
I
people have
don't know.
always been targeted, and of course, then the conservative gays are going to target trans people too. Anything they can other, and I just think gay conservatism is really toxic and it's very hurtful, and you can't get
Yeah,
these people to be open-minded and understand that it hurts people to discriminate against them or to exclude them. Everybody knows the fear of it is to be yourself. And for the mainstream gay culture to not be willing to reach a hand back out and make sure everybody feels included is just a disservice. Um, it's different being a leather person and where I am literally in a boot camp of everything I need to know, every identity, every interest, every historical movement. Like I've learned that, and I've been taught that. I
yeah,
look at being a Leatherman as being a part of like the queer military. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah.
we function, and I have my Sash kid, because I was the first Mr. Austin Eagle.
Right,
Uh,
right.
my Sash grandkid Graham, who's going to be coming with me to Lafayette, so you'll get to
Oh,
meet.
great, great.
We've talked a lot about, representation, but he's putting something together where, back in the days when the Leatherman used to walk people to their cars and to the bar. So he wants to put that back into place. And so he reached out to me about that the other day. I'm saying, yeah, we're okay, so the traditional leather community was your Tom Fillin, white, masculine type of
Right.
thing, and that has changed to where now, you're getting black representation in the leather community. You're getting, non-binary representation in the leather community. We call it new guard. Old guard, the
Right.
past is your typical just white, hyper masculine man that typically mainstream gay culture fawns over. But then you have reality today, which is
Yeah.
now including everybody and showing that we all can be a part of different communities and support each other. So,
Well, to that point, you could be more than one of the letters in LGBTQIA.
correct. You
Represent more than one.
could.
You can represent more than one thing. And
Because
you know,
if
one of
you're
the things I wanted
trans, you
to
can be
talk
gay or
about,
lesbian.
right? Well, no, yeah, but one of the things I wanted to talk about is you're talking about the change in the leather community. I mean, you have somebody named Honey Davenport, who's the current international Mr. Leather, who has a whole other lifestyle.
Draft, which has been a
I
big
mean,
debate for weeks and still is a debate because you have your Tom Fillin, old guard, saying that it is a disgrace to Leatherman for a drag queen to
I
hold a
think
leather
not.
title.
I think not.
There are tons of drag and leather mergers or people in the community. I don't know, Ted.
It's like RuPaul said, you're born naked and the rest is drag.
And but old guard people don't, and a lot of people don't want to call, they don't want their leather to be called drag
Well,
because they say this is my life, it's not a performance. But
right, right.
every aspect of our life is performance. I learned that in college. I
Yeah,
had a class called Performance in Everyday Life. When you get up in the morning and wash your face, eat breakfast, go to work, go to church, go to the movies, everything is a performance. When you go to the movie theater, you go in, you give the usher your ticket. It's a performance. These are
yeah.
performances that we do on the daily. And so I just sometimes, Ted, how intellectual and how big my brain is, I try to not to get so frustrated, but it's so easy
Well,
to be
that's the
nice to
conservatism
people.
within the leather community. That's what it is.
And so then you have that because we've had Nazis in our community. We've had people, there are tons of problematic leather people in our community. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But the thing about being a leather community, it is a microcosm of the whole community, but it's
right.
so what's the
It's
word I'm looking for?
even within the gay.
Concentrated. There's
Yeah,
so much diversity within that. So you can come into the leather community and see everything. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? There are things that people haven't seen before that you can see in the leather community because everyone's trying to tap into their individuality and be who they are. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Where, maybe old guard was a little bit more about fitting in and following orders and protocol. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I'm
But
with
now today it's about self-expression, identity. You don't have to wear your leather this way. You don't have to go to these events. You don't have to participate into these things. Um, I did actually run into a friend from there who did Louisiana Words, who's now here in Austin.
you. Okay.
I'm not going to mention her name,
No, that's
but it is a female who was involved in leather and kink and moved here to Austin, and she's been one of our Louisiana writers.
oh,
So the thing is that now I'm aware that there is a leather community there in Lafayette, but it's super hidden.
oh yeah.
And it might not be queer focused. It could be more heterosexual involvement or things like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm interested to delve into that and to learn a little bit more because I mean, there was no leather. There was no leather. There wasn't a leather person around in our day. I don't know if there's one there now, but the stereotype of what that is,
Well,
do you
you know,
think that
it-
do you think if a leather person walked downtown Jefferson Street, would they look at that person as the village people?
right.
Do you think
Yeah.
probably?
They would think it's an outfit and not a lifestyle.
Right, right. I would like to push back and say that leather is an art just as much as drag is an art.
Absolutely.
Um, and they can overlap. You can be 8 billion things in the world at one time if you want.
Yeah.
You have that option. And I feel like it's unfortunate that you have these people that need to police things and make things stay. And you know what word I hate is tradition because it's
Yeah.
a manipulative word. What it means is that you have to obey and don't be, stand out, don't do this tradition. And it's so crazy, like marriage. Dude, how many people are getting divorces? My parents got divorced. My mom got divorced twice. Does that mean you're going to hell?
Right. Right. No.
Like, it's like people pick and choose what they want to try to like throw at people, especially when it comes to your religious types. It's like, boo, you're doing all these things too that don't fit the lifestyle that you're trying to live. So it's just very interesting. I'm curious, I'm gonna be coming back and um, doing the show. I'm probably gonna come a day early to kind of show my friends and things around. But Lafayette's always gonna have a place in my soul because it's the first time in my life I got involved in like a community outside of like I had been in a bubble, that education bubble for
Yeah.
such a long time. And it was my first act as just doing something in the local community, as you remember.
Did you find that you had more freedom in Lafayette than you did in Monroe?
Ted, that's so tricky
to be
because
yourself.
I didn't know things were going to play out the way they played out when we started doing that.
Right.
So, my regret of being a Acadiana Pride president, I think, if I had a regret, um, you know what? I probably would have tightened up much earlier and shed off the extra, the people not there for the right reasons. I think that we tried so hard in the beginning to
To
get
be
everybody to
included.
work together. I think maybe we cared more about people liking us until we got further into it and realized the amount of work we need and the dedication. Um, I think that if I were to go back, I think I would have trimmed down a lot sooner. I would have gotten less people out of the room that weren't there for the right reason.
Yeah.
But you live and you learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
we did a lot, you know. We carried the community when there wasn't even a gay bar. We were
Yeah.
the entertainment. We did so much. Um, but you know, the moment for me, Ted, what was the hard moment is that, you know, at that point, you know, I'm flunking out of college and then but I'm the bar manager at Fame, right?
Yeah.
And everything was just so, I wish that everything hadn't been so political for us and how we moved and we had to watch our backs because it was just so messy all the time and it did not have to be like that. And so, you know, we were putting out fires and people were calling us every name in the book to try to discredit what we were trying to do. And I hate to say these things to people, but that's just how people that I don't know why the LGBTQI plus community wants to be self sabotage themselves all the
Right. No matter, well, to me, no matter how much you try to be inclusive, someone always feels excluded. And
or someone's mad that
it
you're
is,
including someone that they don't want you to
well,
include.
that too. That too. Yeah.
Because, like again, back to the queue, it was very it. There were some, you know, there were some hard moments, you know,
Yeah.
at and you know what we went through, and you know, not raising the rainbow flag correctly,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, stuff like that when it did get raised, preventing protests.
Yeah.
There was so much, and it was a lot of work. And I remember being at the end, we completed it. Okay. We got to the end. Um, Attendance was great. Who we might have wanted to be there maybe didn't show up, but we did it.
Yeah.
But you know, when I got to that end point at that March of 2014, and I was standing in the, you know, manager of the gay bar, something completely not where I thought I was going to be. Everything that we did just seemed like a political move that we had to represent. So when I became the
It
bar
was. It
manager,
was.
but we wanted me in that role so I would have the venue and the control. Think about it. We not only had control of the gay community, we had the only gay bar. We were running the pride meetings. We were everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know of anything in the history of that city that had any kind of like momentum like me and you did
No.
because
I mean,
we
we did a
were
Canadian Pride Idol.
so you had a Katie
We
Pride
had
Idol.
free use of a venue.
It was huge, which was a
Yeah.
huge event. And so we were able, me and you had so much going on that we just fell into what we were comfortable doing towards the end. You were sticking
Yeah.
with music, I was sticking with Louisiana Words. You know, we went from at one time having a board of 16 people to limping across. I'm not going to say limping.
No.
We carried three other people across the finish line
Yeah.
with
Right. Right.
um
And that's all we
and
needed.
and that's what I say. I feel like
That's
we
all we
tried to
needed.
be so inclusive, and what happened, Ted, is people turned on us because they couldn't do what they wanted to do, and
Right.
that they didn't understand. You know how many friends we lost,
Oh
friends,
yeah.
quotation marks, because they didn't want to be told what to do. That's ultimately what it came down to. People were like, you know, I'm joining it because I'm friends with you, Lewis. And then the minute we need running an organization,
It's a lot of work.
They didn't understand. Remember, and we were like, we're going to raise $100,000, and everyone just freaked out.
Freaked out, right? And we did,
And that's what I look, Ted. I'm trying to tell my people here in Austin they need to
right?
fundraise and do stuff over here. So, like, I've done this before. I've done this before.
Yeah,
But Ted's written about he has a chapter in his book, The 16th Second, about this experience, and I've always wanted to
yeah.
write on it. I've written one chapter so far that I've read before. Ted's heard it about the adding of the Q to
Adding it to queue,
LGBTQ
right?
because it was one of our earliest meetings and it lasted for so long. It was such a long meeting
Yeah,
because the local gay community did not want to acknowledge Q because they thought. And Ted, if I remember, just to go back, from your standpoint at that time, when someone said queer, it meant something negative and they were about
right.
to
It's something
hit
negative.
you or kill
It was
you or something
actually,
like that.
it was actually Bill Haywood that
Yes.
told me, said, Ted, he said, I identify as queer. And that changed my mind.
And then I said, well, if he's a Q, I'm gonna be a Q too.
Yeah,
That's what I
right,
said.
right. You know,
And we moved on from that. And I think that in those earliest stages, we tried to include so many people and people just didn't understand what they were signing up for. But it was just so weird how, to have people that generally you're not like I had no ill will or didn't want to see anybody fail that was a part of our board or anything like that. But that they just grew such a negative, nasty energy. And I'm not gonna stand on that on 10 toes. Like everyone had their own self reasonings for wanting to be involved with Pride. But Ted, to go and handpick some of the best people in the community and give them an opportunity to stand up and do this, and then they get mad because we're trying to complete work and they're not doing their part. Oh, I raised $500, so I don't need to do anything else.
yeah.
Or,
Or I did this and that's all I gotta
or
do.
it's the Lewis show, it's the Ted show. President was attached to my name. President was attached to your name.
Yeah,
Okay. So, we can go and dissect this. I think one time I think we do need to create some kind of dialogue about the history of that and do like a presentation one day and what exactly we went through that because
yeah.
um me and you had our moments too,
Oh,
like
definitely.
I didn't know how to be the president of a nonprofit organization and try to rate, like there were moments where my age showed, and I was doing things that might have affected donations and money and things like that. Those were some of the issues that we would come into, but it wasn't, we worked through everything. We worked through everything.
Yeah.
And everybody that was on that board or participated, we could have worked through everything. You know what I'm saying? But it just became like this. Well,
Well, they became so stoic in their thought process that they're like, if I'm going to be on the board, I'm going to do it this way.
and we
And that,
gave them the power to do within
for the
reason, but
most
it
part,
was
yes,
like once they
but they
completed
would
that
never follow
task,
up. They
well,
would never follow up. And that's what the problem was.
yeah, and then we would have to make decisions. And
Right.
that's where the issues came because we had deadlines, we had things,
Well,
we just had to move
that's,
along.
well, that's what I was saying is that, if somebody would have an idea, they thought that if Ted doesn't want to do it, well, then we're not going to do it. And I said, no, I said, if you have an idea, bring it to the board. We'll discuss it. And then you explain to me how you expect to get that thing accomplished. And they never had a plan because they thought, oh, well, Ted and Lewis are going to do it. It's my idea, but Ted and Lewis are going to do it. And that didn't work because, I was already tired,
No, just
you
see,
know?
but how in the same breath can they be upset that we're doing everything at the same time?
Right.
It
That's what
doesn't
I'm
make
saying.
sense. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I went and I hand selected and chose everybody in
Oh,
that
I
group.
know.
I said, we're going to get college people on this board. I went and did all that, Ted. We had the
I know.
elect. I set up the most killer, amazing mix of team. And
You did.
no one ever looked at that as an opportunity. I never got a thank you or anything because things didn't go the way that other people would. They didn't understand that this
Right.
was a organization.
Yeah.
And we had deadlines. We were getting donors. We were, doing press releases,
Yeah,
going on television, like unpaid work.
yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what I'm
And
saying.
you remember we said me and you we were going to create a 40-hour week. You remember this?
I
And
remember
we
that.
just said each person you need to bring 2 hours a week or something. You
Yeah,
know what
I
I'm saying? You
remember
remember
that.
that?
Yeah, because
So
every
we can get
before
that.
everything, we had to say, explain to us what you did during the week.
Yeah, we did that, right? And some people would come and they wouldn't have anything. So yeah, man.
But we did
I
it.
mean,
So
I still got all of our meetings, but y'all, the point of this conversation me and Ted are having right now is that, it is not easy to be an activist, especially in
no,
conservative communities. And for anyone that's listening here that is struggling and feels like they can't get inclusion and diversity, you just got to find the right people and for the right
yeah,
reasons. Don't go getting your friends to be on your board because your friends, you're going to lose your friends.
yeah,
You're going to lose your friends. And the reason for that is because everyone thinks that inclusion and unity are great ideas and they want to jump on that, but they don't want to do the work to get there. Every community in this country in the United States right now is divided. It doesn't matter where you are. It could be divided based on race. It can be divided based on sexuality,
yeah,
gender, geographical location, cities. That is the design that has happened. Our leadership is about dividing and only working with who wants to work with them.
yes,
So for us to truly become our best selves, we have to learn how to work together. And if you're racist, it's going to be really, really hard as a queer person to work together.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense to discriminate against, but and I told people, me growing up and black men were fetishes, not like actual, I want to date you, show you off, take you out. It was more of a secrecy thing for some people that I
Right.
talked to because of the racism, which is wild. You know what I'm saying? All right, Ted. So we're going to be doing the Throwing Light tour. I'm sorry, Throwing Light. That
The
is one of
throwing
the
light
tours I
tour.
have going on. I'm sorry, I am doing that tour. The Louisiana Words Tour. Ted is always here to represent for Lafayette.
Yeah.
Um, Ted has his book, The 16th Second, that he's written. I have two copies. I have a bedazzled copy too.
Oh, good.
So I'm going to be reposting Ted's book, the 16th Second, and how you can get that on the Louisiana Words website.
Oh, good.
So we'll be promoting that too. He will have books there. I'm going to set up ways if you guys are interested. I'll find some ways to get more information about the book that Ted has and enjoy it. Ted has been doing activism since the 80s. His,
The
can
1980s.
I say your stripper name is Colt
Oh,
Michael?
Michael. Yeah, that's fine. It's in the book. So,
Ted is the epitome of growing and learning and experiences. I've been in trauma therapy recently. I've been doing EMDR, Ted,
yeah.
for sexual abuse. And,
Right.
Ted has a chapter in there where he deals with a priest that had,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's a lot of really relatable stuff in Ted's book, and it talks about his journey from child to present of what he's going through. But the point of the 16th second is that most people talk about like, 15 seconds of fame. And Ted's book is saying like once that 15 is over, restart the clock. You got a 16-second. There's still
Yeah.
more to go. I highly
Correct.
recommend this. I will be sending you guys all info for that throughout Pride this
Yeah.
summer. All summer long, we're going to be promoting Ted's book.
Good.
I think I have some readings and things. You will get readings from the Louisiana Words Tour. We will be at Cavalier House Books on Friday, July 3rd at
Oh, wonderful.
4:30 p.m.
Wonderful.
Ted will be one of our readers. I
Yeah.
have two other readers, Gabby Miller Laura Gary's new, my friend John J. Michael Norris. So we're gonna have a little of that. Cowboy House Books is going to be promoting it. We want more people to come out. We have an open mic, so if you want to show any poetry or fiction, please come out for that. Ted, is there anything you want to add?
I think I'm good, Lewis. I've had a great conversation with you.
I
You know,
know
we don't get to talk as much anymore.
we need to talk
We
more,
need to do that more often. Yeah.
and not just about these things, but I've never felt like our work was done, Ted, and I just feel like there
It's
has
still
to be
not.
something that I always talked about that third chapter for us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And who knows? Because sometimes the trilogy comes, you know,
In unexpected ways.
well, you know how movies work. You get the original, you usually get the sequel right back, but
Yeah.
then sometimes it takes a minute to come back and tell that third part of the story.
Yeah.
But what's so great is that we survived.
Yes. Yes.
And
We
we're here.
thrived. We
We
thrived. Not
survived.
just survived. We
We
thrived.
survived, we thrive. And and I'll share with you guys this during the experience of me being pride president is when I developed my addiction to crystal meth, and I was struggling with that, and I was feeling out of place at school, feeling like I didn't have much value, and then I was sexually assaulted while I was the
While
Acadiana
you were
pride
president.
president. So no one had compassion for me. And, Ted, if you remember, after the sexual assault, it was like, hey, the community said you've been missing. You got to come to this meeting and tell everybody what happened. It wasn't like go to therapy, go see about yourself.
Right.
It was
Right.
just go, 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 go. And I just developed this like anger and this I felt like I had to be my own cheerleader during that, and it just became kind of a lonely road for me because nobody told me to process the trauma, and no one was like, "Oh, this happened to Louis." It was just there was none of that from the gay community for me,
Right. Right.
and I was bitter for years after that because
I
I
remember
felt
that.
like
I know
my
that.
life just I felt like my life fell apart, but I completed that mission. And, you continue the second year and, just hearing all the feedback of when you were president, it hurt when it felt like it had been destroyed and torn down because everything was in place to succeed. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think more authentically is that we started Louisiana Words together first, and
Yeah.
that was our authentic selves. And the pride stuff came later, and that required shifting and changing to get what we needed done.
Well,
And
it required
so,
work. And I think at the time, it was hard for you to do the work of pride because you were trying to work on yourself at the
I,
same
I
time.
wasn't working on myself. That's
But
the
that's what
thing.
I'm saying is that, you kind of felt like you were left out there and nobody was helping you.
Let me tell you this, and we're going to wrap things up. I'm not going to say any names.
Yeah.
I went to go get therapy after this. And
Yeah.
the therapist was a of our community, was a gay man.
Okay.
And I came in and I sat there in that first session and told him everything. And he contacted me after that session and said that he could not see me again because it was a conflict of interest because of my position in the community. I'm not gonna say
Really?
your name. I can tell you after this show
Wow.
though. No one
That's
helped.
unfortunate.
No, not a single person wanted to help me in
That's
terms
unfortunate.
of getting out of the headspace that I was in. So I'm just saying, I think that was the biggest thing of what hurt me about being in the kid community is that when I did need help and as much as I was helping people, it just wasn't, no one had that compassion for me. When people see you like a strong person or whatever. They don't think that you need help sometimes. And we asked for help. So everyone had an opportunity to be a part of that. It took me a long and a lot of time, a lot of therapy to get over my disappointment and how I was treated. And I'm not, you know, how I reacted and acted to things, obviously, weren't the best. And I will be the first to apologize to everybody that I ever worked with during that time point. If we
Yeah.
ever see each other again, that I'm sorry that everyone thought they were signing up for a friendship show. Like, I'm sorry, but that's
Yeah.
not what it was. Ted, I like to end everything with the same question. What is one aspect of our community you feel that we're not shedding enough light on?
I think the trans community.
Yeah.
That's the easiest question you can ask. Is the trans community? They're just getting laid off
85,
every.
like 85%, 95%, everybody says that. So, I mean, it's nice that everybody understands that. Let me just
Yeah.
put it like that. Mhm. Is there anything else you want to add, Ted, before I let you go?
I think I'm good. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
y'all. Well, that has been another episode of
I
Throwing
love
Light.
you.
Thank you, Ted. I love you so much. You'll be seeing me and Ted in a couple of weeks. Keep following my Instagram, promoting Louisiana Words. Keep watching all summer long for promotions for Ted's book and how to get that and readings by it. With that being said, that has been another episode of Throwing Light. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being on. We
Thank you,
are
Lewis.
out. Bye,
Bye,
y'all.
y'all.